Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Quinten Krzysko, Samir Patel, Sonny Verma, and the one and only Luce. Bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
And welcome in to another episode of Bears on Tap. Quinten Krzysko. I am joined by Luce and Samir Patel this evening. And gentlemen, tonight, this afternoon, Bears stumbled. So it was a tough game for Bears fans, for all of us, frankly. They came back at the end, but you know what? They couldn't close it out, and it didn't end up mattering because they still got the 2 seed. Thank you, Washington Commanders. Thank you, Philadelphia Eagles. Bears end up in the same spot that they would have been if they won anyways. But it was we were talking a little pre-show. It was a weird game to watch.
Do we lose Q there?
On this game,
Rod. Oh.
We lost you there, Q.
Yeah, it did something weird on my end too. Like everyone went blank, and then everyone showed back up again. So I don't know, but
kind of like the Bears game.
Yeah, kind of like the Bears game. But I'm not sure where I got cut out. But where I was going was where it was a weird one, and I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. Starting with Ron.
You know, I think I know why it was a weird game. And I mentioned this to you guys before we started, and I didn't give you any details. I think I know why this was a weird game. Because to me, I don't think Ben Johnson genuinely cared about the outcome, but he was still going to show up and work on some things. Because that's kind of what the Bears did. This for them, Nick DeMeo referenced it in our Bears room. You know, Ben Johnson mentioned this was the easiest game plan week ever. Yeah, because they put in the base fundamentals of the offense. They didn't run anything special. That's the reason it felt weird. It was underwhelming. It wasn't Ben Johnson normal. This was a complete, we're going to work on X, Y, and Z this week, and whatever happens, happens. And I think a big reason for that, the Green Bay Packers, both offensively and defensively, run a very similar scheme. The Los Angeles Rams do the same thing. And the San Francisco 49ers do the same thing. I think they looked at it and said, we're playing the same type of team either way here in Soldier Field. Let's just work on things. I think Nick DeMeo also mentioned this felt like Dennis Allen showing, Ryan Poles what his defense needs to work at, its base values of we're just going to run everything base. I'm going to run man all day long, and I'm going to show you that these guys aren't getting it done, that they need to get faster, that they need to get, guys that have better one-on-one match skills. He can't always dial up weird shit to get results. Sometimes you just got to think about those New Orleans teams. Tyrann Mathieu, incredible corners, incredible safeties. They've always had great.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, they've always had great DBs. Dennis Allen's a DB himself. I think that's why he asks the most of that position. And as a result, I think this was truly let's work on some things because we have some things we need to learn going into the off season. But let's still try to win the football game. If we execute, we should be able to win. There's a chance. But they weren't pulling out any of the crazy stops, right? There was no trickery in this game. Ben Johnson ran his most basic game plan. I think Dennis Allen did the same. And they just said, we're going to have these guys just go out there and compete and keep them in that competitive juice, not have to rerun back up for teams that sat guys, and just see what happens. And I think, gentlemen, that's why I'm not super down about this game, is because I just don't think nobody was watching a Ben Johnson normal game plan. This thing was game planned at its very bare minimum to just be able to trot out there and have a chance to win a football game. They didn't dial up anything weird. And that's why it felt weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought, right? And it's an interesting thought process with that. And the only thing that I like, the only pushback I feel like I can give with it is like, is it really? I don't know. That feels very anti Ben Johnson to me. Feels very anti like we're gonna put our guys in the best position to succeed, best position to win. And like I do think there is some merit to what you're saying with that, but also like I don't know. We've been sold Ben Johnson as this psycho competitor.
Sure. I think he is that psycho competitor, but I think even the most psycho of competitors know when to say, let's work on some things. Don't get me wrong. I think Ben Johnson still coached this game like he normally would. That's why they came back in the second half. It's because he said, okay, I know exactly what they were doing now. We're going to run what's in the playbook. I know it's going to work. The first half was them very much just kind of figuring out, hey, does this work? Can we do this against this defense? This, that, and the other, right? And still being competitive. The defense still competed. They kept them to 13 points in the first half when it should have been 35. But then they turned on the gas late, which they've shown they can do. Ben Johnson knows how to make adjustments late. They made it a football game. And I think that's where the psycho competitor Ben Johnson comes in Q. It's not so much the game plan aspect, it's how he manages the game. I think for him, that's a very big part of that psycho competitiveness that I think a lot of people lose sight of because everybody talks about kind of the game planning genius and more the X's and O's than just the pure execution as a play caller on game day.
Okay, so I think like I can agree on the Ben Johnson aspect, like, and I can totally buy that. And like I had to like process this as you were saying it, right? Because we didn't discuss it at all pre-show. And as I'm thinking through like what you were saying, there was a part where you lost me, and then like that part was where I was like, I got to push back, but I didn't quite like process how I wanted to push back or where that was. It's on the Dennis Allen part. I just think the Bears don't have answers for this Lions offense. I don't think there's a lot Dennis Allen could do to fix it. And then why are they running man coverage? Because they can't run the same freaking zone coverages over and over and expect different results. They need to throw some wrinkles in there to confuse because your fastest corner runs what, like a 4-4? They got two guys over there running 4-2s. Like it's just a different beast that there's no good answers to this Lions offense. And it's what's so frustrating watching them. Like if you run a lot of zone coverage because you're saying Gibbs and Jameson Williams and Isaac Tesla, we can't run man against them. We have no one who can keep up with them. Then Amon-Ra's going to tear up your zones. If you run zone coverages, those guys, or if you run man coverages, those guys, one of them are going to win. You're going to get TJ Edwards on Jahmyr Gibbs in the red zone in a man coverage, and he's going to run a Texas route that makes TJ look awful. Like that's what the offense is structured to do, and it does it very well. So like, I'm not sure that I really buy that there was a lot of gamesmanship there from Dennis Allen of showing Ryan Poles what he needs, or like I just think Dennis Allen was doing the best he could with what he's got.
And I think it can still get to that notion of like showing what it needs because they don't have answers, as you mentioned, Q, for the offense. And that's a great point. They don't. Like that's the one team in the league that the Bears just don't have an answer for is Detroit, and because of their personnel. And it almost makes you feel like, isn't that kind of the mold the Bears are starting to build in?
They need speed, man. I've been saying it for over a year now. They need speed.
They have a very high checklist this year, and it's speed. They need to get a lot of it, like you said, Q.
Because it changes the game. Like if you, a buddy I text with during games, he said to me multiple times tonight, double team Amon-Ra, and it's like if you lurk coverage over Amon-Ra, you're not lurking coverage over Jameson Williams. You know, and that is not a game Raymond. You want to play. Yeah.
I kind of get what you're saying, Ron, and I guess I understand a little bit of it. It reminded me of that Packers game where they were down 6-0 at half. I think they put up another goose egg right here. So it felt like they just couldn't get. It's so hard for them to get going, you know, on offense, and then the defense. It hurts too because the Lions are so good at time of possession, where the Bears had one possession in the first quarter, right, and like unless they can like really put these drives together, it feels like they don't have enough possessions to create their own momentum. And Ben Johnson, and Q, you and I talked about this, or you tweeted this out. He's a guy that needs to see the defense a couple times, and that's why he's so good in the second half. That's when the Bears really turn it on. And if his offense only gets 1 or 2 possessions because the defense is just on the field giving up these third downs and methodical drives, they don't have that opportunity to really see what's happening. But to your point, though, Ron, I do think that Dennis Allen in previous games has made more of an effort to make adjustments, and he didn't really do that. He's like, all right, Jalen's getting cooked on man coverage, whatever. We're just going to keep doing it. Tyreek Stevenson got 0 snaps. You'd think that if like Nashawn Wright or Jalen are getting cooked so badly that you might even turn to Tyreek just to see what you got. He's like, nah, it's fine, whatever. So maybe part of me was thinking like, yeah, maybe they're just trying to get out of this game healthy and like just see how their guys are doing, see what game shape they're in, see which adjustments they could make. So maybe it is a little combination of both.
I mean, I don't know. I'd argue Dennis Allen did make adjustments in the second half. They weren't playing that much man coverage in the first half, except for when they were blitzing, and you have to. In the second half, they ran more man coverage just to throw off the scent of what they're doing. I mean, they held the Lions to 6 second half points. And they got Jared Goff to make mistakes. I don't think that stuff is unforced. I think schematically, they put him in positions that he didn't want. I mean, he didn't think he was looking at Tampa 2 when he threw it straight to the deep backer in the end zone. I do think that he made adjustments. I just think defensive adjustments especially can be so hard to recognize because you can't see the coverage most of the time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I feel like we just had a lot of man. Maybe there wasn't as much man in the first half, but it's noticeable when you've got TJ Edwards or Jalen Johnson just running behind somebody because they're just yakking it up.
Here's what I would question. In must pass moments, it's a game of chicken, right? Where their play caller is going, well, we're going to call zone beater because they're probably going to run zone. And Dennis Allen keeps running man. And they're like, well, should we call fucking man beater? Should we do something about the man coverage? Or is he going to keep doing it's Russian roulette. It's chicken. They're in a staring contest and he's trying to stare off with him. And I don't think Jalen Johnson's ripe at some point too. You're like, I'm going to trust my all-pro corner to be an all-pro corner. Yeah. I don't know. That's just my take on it. And I think Dennis Allen does not have the dogs that he needs right now. And I agree. He just held the Lions to 19 points in a game that should have given up 30 plus. So I'm sitting here going I get everyone's frustration with the defense and everything, but at the same time, I think they're doing everything they possibly can with this unit and this. The only way you stop the Lions offense, in my mind, is you hit Jared Goff and you get home with 4. And those are 2 things the Bears really have not much ability to do.
One thing I noticed that they struggled with this game and last game was angles. I feel like they're just taking poor angles on some of their tackles or getting to receivers or, when people catch stuff in space. I don't know if it's been a problem all season, but it was very noticeable in the Niner game. And then I felt there was moments here too, where they're just taking bad angles to try to tackle some of these guys.
I think to Q's point of the lack of speed, right? Especially I think defensively for the Bears.
Yeah.
When you talk about angles, the immediate one for me that's so glaring is when it's a toss play and they have it dead to rights. And then the running back still somehow gets like a 6+ yard gain on it. Mm-hmm. That is the most frustrating part of it all right there. That is the most, no matter what, because it's you got him. You just got to take the right angle on a tackle. You're pros. You got to be able to tackle. Mm-hmm. And every single time that happens, for me, that's the one, Samir, that just always stands out. It's just oh my God.
Now, do you guys have any concern about this offense going into games, going into being able to? It seems like they're constantly playing catch up because they fail to do much early in the game. I feel like today was another just very prime example of that, where I mean, I tweeted something out about it, just saying like it feels like once Ben Johnson gets a beat on what the defense's kind of theory is in the game, or like what they're like the cyclicality or what they're trying to do down and distance wise, he starts to just put them like that big Colson Loveland catch, like that was scheme, that was beautiful, that was like he completely psyched out the defense on what they thought they were seeing versus what they got. But early in the game, that's something that the last few weeks we've seen has kind of not been there. And really for a lot of this season has not been there. And Samir, you asked me on my post, like, is that something that gets better with a coach, or is that like a first year thing? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, your guys' thoughts, because I'm not totally sure.
I genuinely don't know. And I'm thinking it's hard to say because this is the first year, but right now, from what I've seen, it seems to just be a Ben Johnson thing. You know, he's seen some of these teams twice already, and both times it feels like it didn't matter, right? It was still a slow start, and he needs the game flow to really figure out what the defense is doing. Even though he'd seen the Packers a second time, they still put up a goose egg, right? He'd seen the Vikings a second time. He'd seen the Lions a second time, and the Lions, another goose egg in the first half. So I don't know if it's going to get, I think this might just be who he is. It's like very game flow dependent. So, but I don't know. I'm interested to see how that translates.
I think there might be a little piece of it though, that you have to theorize that like, this is still new to Ben Johnson this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know everybody's like, well, he's a brainiac. Like, we know he's a good mind. Like, he should figure it out. And it's like, when you're the OC calling plays, all you're responsible for is the offense. So when the defense is out on the field, it's just, you're hyper analyzing everything that's been happening. You're figuring all that out. As the play caller, you're talking with your next guy in command, your passing game coordinators, your run game coordinators. Hey, where can we take advantage here? Like, that's all you're doing. And then when the offense has to go back on the field, you go. Right now, he's having to do that and then also still like be kind of in lockstep with DA. Hey, what are we doing here? Do we need to make a decision on something? Like, I'm sure Ben Johnson still has some say. He's not just totally like, DA, I trust you entirely. I'm not even going to care about the defensive side of the ball. Like, he has to care about the defensive side of the ball and the special teams side of the ball, right? So I think that little nuance is maybe like hey, he needs to get in his flow state for the whole process. And then it really starts to take off in the second half. So I wonder if that is something that we could potentially see improve, because then he's used to managing more than one thing. Maybe he's able to put more faith and trust in a certain individual, because it is a new coaching staff for him. He brought in new people. He didn't just bring all his friends, right? There's learning to that too. So I really do wonder if I think there's a way this gets better.
So one thing that just dawned on me, Ben Johnson didn't ever call plays from the sideline before this year, right?
I don't think so.
I think he was always in the booth. I wonder how that's impacting like him getting the still shots, him like getting, because he's not seeing it happen live, what the coverages are, what how they're attacking things. I almost wonder if it takes until like, second quarter into half when he's really getting the chance to dissect that he's able to adjust on it, especially in a game like this where I'm sitting here going like throughout most of this game, like I do think, Ron, I think your theory holds some real credence here, but at the same time, during this game, I'm sitting here going, this coaching staff just knows Ben Johnson too well. They are pulling all the right levers and knowing exactly how to get him to play into their hand. And that's like early in the game, first drive, they're, Bears are checking the run, right? That they're canning to the runs because you got two high safeties, but the Lions are still in heavy personnel. So it's kind of questionable at that point, but they're going, okay, too high. We're going to run the football. Safety rotates down. It's no longer too high at the snap, and the run's not going anywhere. The next series, Bears aren't canning into those runs anymore. Lions aren't rotating the guy down anymore. It's kind of like I feel like they know what makes him tick to a degree, and it's taking him some time to get that that full picture of what they're doing, of how they are playing this, you know?
Definitely. I mean, the familiarity aspect of it helps too. And again, I think that's why there is some adjustment there, right? It's completely different being up top to being on the sideline. Very, very different. I've witnessed it as a player, and then I witnessed it as doing some broadcasting. Like when you're up high, you're just like, oh yeah, they're running to, cover 2, it's cover 4, it's whatever. And then when you're on the field, like you're just hoping you can fucking find who's trying to make the tackle half the time. Right? It's such a different angle, and there's so many. I think you're onto something there, Key, where I think that's really right now the biggest adjustment period for Ben Johnson.
But so outside of that, guys, do you have anything else you want to touch on from this game? Is there anything I'm forgetting to bring up before we get into our segments here?
No, I think I guess for the listen on the injury front, I guess no real hits except for CJ, which looked like it might have gotten his bell rung, maybe a concussion. It looked like to me anyway, because they were just kind of holding him up. He was a little wobbly, but I didn't hear anything from the Ben presser on any of that. I don't know if you guys did.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything on it. I would assume that he's going to be in concussion protocol throughout the week, and we'll see how that goes. We're not sure what Kyler Gordon's status is going to be. I know last week and this week both, it has felt like you could really use a nickel corner who is a nickel corner who is not a safety. And like it would be great to get Kyler back out there, but I'm not sure what the status is there. And also, I mean, I feel like we haven't touched on enough. There's the 2 seed, guys. We got the number 7 seed next week. We got the Green Bay Packers coming into Soldier Field, the 3rd time we will see them this year in a series where, if you're an optimist, cover your ears. But the Green Bay Packers have led for 8 of 9 quarters, or 7 of 9 quarters, and one was tied, and one was, the Bears actually led in that quarter. But it's been kind of I don't know. That trend scares me a little, and we'll get more to that in the game preview. I don't want to be the downer on it today, but I do have
I got my ears
deep
covered.
down. Yeah, Ron, keep them covered. Earmuffs. Some deep down insecurities about playing the Packers again, but we'll talk about that in the preview show. All right, Ron, you're good.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into our first segment here.
The nicest man.
All right. Coming off a loss, we start with the nicest man. Kicking it over to Samir. Who is the nicest man on the Chicago Bears today?
It's I don't know. I feel like I don't want to pick on him because he's obviously a great player, but I thought Jalen Johnson unfortunately looked a little slow, maybe a little hurt. I'm not really sure what's going on with him, but he played a lot of the game. He only played, I think, the first half of the Niner game. And afterwards he was questioned, why didn't you get more snaps? And he's like, I don't know. I'm healthy. Basically, like, I want to play. And they left him out there. And it was tough. It was tough watching him get burned by Khalif Raymond, of all people, just bat over and over again. So I think that's tough. Yeah, I think you could pick a number of folks on the defensive side if you wanted to. I mean, like you said, Q, they did the best they could with the horses they got, and they kept them out of the end zone, save for one Jahmyr Gibbs play. But I thought Jalen had a rough game.
He did have a rough game. I mean, the guy is clearly not. I don't care what he said in his locker.
Yeah.
The guy is not fully healthy, and I appreciate him hurrying back, coming off a core muscle surgery, and finding his way back in the field to play for a winner for really the first time in his career. But I don't think he's right. And I feel like there's a sentiment out there about Jalen Johnson right now that he's getting older. He might be losing a step. This dude's 26 years old.
Yeah.
This ain't age, guys. This is not the idea of he's been in the league for 5-6 years, so he has to be getting old. He was 20 years old coming into the league. He is still in prime age. Yeah. He might be the most valuable contract on the Chicago Bears right now, outside of rookie contracts.
Completely
because
agree.
he is a like his deal is below market. He's 26 years old, a former All-Pro. If he is in trade talks in your mind this offseason, it needs
No,
to be
no, no,
for an
no,
All-Pro
no.
player in return. That's
No,
the
no.
only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I think
But
that's completely fair.
to your point, Samir, today certainly
A little
a
rough.
nicest man. He is not. He's not. He doesn't look right. You getting him in man coverage against guys he can't keep up with. Speed has never been his strength. So like the injured version of him, especially core injury, like we've seen him play with shoulder injuries and be okay before. The core injury, like that's going to impact your speed, your burst. Like, yeah,
I wonder if that's I don't know, because Tyreek Stevenson is healthy and he's started for you before and he's got 0 snaps. So if it was just an injury thing and he's not right, you would think that they'd be like, okay, we need Jalen for the playoff game. Tyreek, get out there. You can do just as well in this game, if not better. Maybe it's a game shape thing. I don't know. Maybe they're like, no, you need to get more of your legs under you because your conditioning isn't where it needs to be. I'm not 100% sure on which of those that falls under, but yeah, clear it was not his.
That's an interesting question because maybe they heard Jalen Johnson chirping a little after the last game, and maybe they were like, okay, well, let's see what you can do with man coverage then. I mean, that's an interesting point. But Ron, where are you going for your nicest man tonight?
Well, I am gonna stay on the same side of the field as Samir here, and as Scott says in the comments, whoever was guarding St. Brown, yeah, for a lot of the day that was Nahshon Wright. Nahshon Wright was also not right in this game, just like Jalen Johnson. It was a rough day. I mean, they were picking Wright apart on the 15-yard in routes all day long. That was just the bread and butter. It was as soon as Amon-Ra breaks for the middle of the field, throw him the football. And it worked every single fucking time they ran it. They were just picking on him. And unfortunately, that was kind of just the secondary in general today. But that one had to be called out, and Scott put it on a softball tee for us here. Whoever was guarding Amon-Ra, unfortunately, was Nahshon Wright for most of the game.
Yeah, I think that's a fair one. I think it's been pretty clear that teams are no longer afraid of Nahshon Wright. Like there was early in the season, no one was afraid of him. They're like, we're going to attack him. And then he got enough interceptions that guys started saying, I don't want to attack him. But now we're back to the point where teams are attacking him again. It's like it's all cyclical. And it's clear that teams are saying this is the guy that we can go after and we're going to go after him. It's on him to make that not happen again. So hopefully the Packers do it. He gets an interception and they're like, well, shit, we have nowhere to go now. That would be great. But
Q, real quick, in our comments here, thank you, Ken Yama. Bears are playing the Packers at 7 p.m. on Prime Video on Saturday per NBC. So they are the Saturday night game for the playoffs.
Okay. Mark your calendars, folks. Luckily, I'll actually be able to watch this Saturday Packers game, I believe. But anyways, back to the nicest man segment. I'm glad neither of you guys went here, so I can. DJ Moore. What the hell was that downfield? Like you, and I understand that ball might not have been the greatest ball, but like you cannot let what's his name? The Jalen Mills, was it? Who got the interception there?
Was it Maddox?
Or no, Vontae Maddox.
Yeah.
You can't let a Vontae Maddox punk you like that. Get his hand in your chest, push you off your route, and go get the football. That's not acceptable. That's not like, to me, that is really tough to take from a viewer standpoint, from a fan standpoint. I can't imagine the coaches are that happy with it either, or your quarterback, because I don't think you got another target the rest of the game after that. I mean, right now you are getting out targeted by Ja'Day Walker, essentially. Like the rest of the game, Ja'Day Walker got looks. DJ really didn't, and I don't know. I thought that DJ Moore was starting to come into this offense and earn some more trust the last few weeks, earn his quarterback's trust a little more. I'm not sure that that's the case after that play, after that moment, because I don't know how you can trust throwing him a downfield ball again after that.
No, I think that's a great point. Great call out, Q.
Caleb was asked about that directly in the post game, and you could tell he was a little frustrated. But Caleb's not, throwing my guy under the bus. He's like, "Well, I felt like it was there. Trust my guy to go up and make a play," is what he said. So, yeah.
Ooh, I did not hear that. That is, DJ's got you got to make a play. Like you got to at least play defense there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I think he's playing hurt, but I don't really care. Like it's, we saw him come off the field a little later with a non-contact thing, and I imagine there's something that he's dealing with. It's week 18. Everyone's dealing with something, right? Like that's the nature of the beast here. But if you're on the field, you're on the field, and you gotta give 100%. And that just felt like less than 100% on that play. But anyways, let's move on to a nicer segment.
The baddest man.
Starting with Ron, who is your baddest man on the Chicago Bears this evening?
It's hard not to pick him because he was a dog today. This guy's a future All-Pro. He's a future Pro Bowler. Weren't the Indianapolis Colts fans dogging the Bears early in the season about they took the wrong tight end?
Oh yeah,
nah. Colston Loveland's a bad dude, and I'll tell you what, we are watching like just a true star come into the making into the tight end position right now. And maybe him and Warren both are. There's a reason they both went in the top 15. But for what Ben wants to do, and Loveland just is such a matchup nightmare. And they're going to continue to utilize that more and more the more he learns how to play in the NFL. They're going to start making him Kelsey-like, Gronk-like, in the sense of like, yeah, man, you're the primary read here because we know you're going to pick apart every linebacker in the league. Go make it happen, big dog. And he did that today. Had a phenomenal day. Too bad I didn't. I have him in a rebuild dynasty league of mine. I wish I would have been playing still today. I might have won a football game for like the third time all year. What a bad dude. Colston Loveland's a bad man pajama.
Samir, where are you going for your baddest man?
I mean, that is the pick, right? The dude had 13 targets, caught 10 of them. He was just all over the field. I'm going to go a little outside the box because I don't feel like anybody else had a particularly strong game, but I was impressed with Cole Kmet today as well. I thought he played his rear end off. He had a couple nice catches. That 2-point conversion, man, he took a shot. I mean, he took a shot and he held onto that ball. That alone, I was like, props to Kmet. He gets overshadowed by Loveland and definitely did in this game, but he's there. He does the little stuff. You can still count on him when you need to. And he actually didn't fall down after he caught a couple passes this time. He ran over somebody. I forgot who it was. Was it Rodriguez? I can't remember. He ran over someone and got a first down. So not box score might not impress you, but we needed that 2-point conversion. He took a shot and he held on to it. So I'm going to go with Cole Kmet.
Yeah, he definitely set the tone on that one catch and run, and the one in the 2-point conversion in the end zone was like, that was outstanding stuff from Kmet.
Especially because he whiffed. He whiffed, and then he's like, oh crap. Then he went to the end zone because he's like, I can't help him any other way. So it was good awareness on his part too.
Yeah.
Hilarious comment from Scott here. Loveland and Kmet are Gronk and Hernandez minus the murders.
So far.
Would be electric.
Well, in that comparison though, people would be saying that Loveland is Gronk, but stylistically, Hernandez was more receiver, less blocker, while Gronk was more the Kmet guy at first in that combo. It's just an interesting thought. But man, for me, I mean, thank you guys for making this easy for me, but I'll go with Caleb. He showed up down the stretch, put together a ton of yards, two touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They got two 2-point conversions in the fourth quarter. One of those was Monangai though. He put his big boy pants on in the fourth quarter and stepped up and made this a game. And you hope that next time they can do it some point in the first 3 quarters. But props to Caleb for going and becoming the Bears' single season leader in passing yards.
Yeah, that's true.
All time. big number there. You know, it's like, what was that? Like 3,900 something or 3,800 something.
The record or his total that he ended with.
The record and I guess where he
The
ended.
record was 38-38, I believe, was the record. Okay. So he broke that, and he finished the season with 39-42, I believe was the number.
39-42, just 58 yards short of the 4,000 yards, but that's okay. You know, I
Ben
really
went for it on fourth down. I think he would have gotten it if Ben went for it on fourth down. He might have had a shot.
I think so too.
You know what? I knew I was forgetting something I wanted to talk about earlier. What should they have done on that fourth down in their final?
Absolutely gone for it.
Go for it.
4th and 5.
Yeah,
absolutely gone for it, man.
These guys have made it their bread and butter, Samir. Like that's what Ben Johnson's known for. That's the one thing he took from Dan Campbell was like, fuck yeah, we're going for it on fourth down because fuck them. Didn't they even catch him lipping that we should have went for it?
Yeah, they did. They did. Mm-hmm.
So he even knows it too, man. He's like, what the hell? Like, I wonder, Q, and this is kind of backs my theory, that a Ben just like, all right, we're going to trust our defense. When he's like, no, he like woke up all of a sudden was like, wait, what the hell am I doing? Like, where am I? Why am I not being that competitor and going for it? Because I think if it's any other game in the season, they're going for that. I really
do. Now, where was that on the field? That was near the 50, right?
Yes.
No, it was. I thought it was close. I thought it was in Bears territory. Weren't they even
in
their own territory?
It was in Bears territory. I think it was maybe the 37 or 38 yard line was where they were, or that was It was somewhere like that. It was
right. That sounds more right than the 50.
It was close enough to the 50, but it was
at the Bears 31.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which at that point you have to stop them, hopefully, and have them kick a field goal anyway. Right. Like the game plan is still kind of the same. And it sucks because your punter is not having another strong season, right? So you didn't even give up that much field position when you punted it. It was the wrong call, and then it was exacerbated by the fact that you had a crappy punt, and then you couldn't stop them anyway. So
I'm glad Ryan Poles traded his 4th round pick this year for Joe Tooney, because there's no player he's going to find better, because apparently he likes taking punters in the 4th round.
That was continues to be a terrible pick.
Was that a moment of Ben Johnson saying, "Okay, defense, this is your opportunity to change my mind. Like, we're going into a playoff game. I'm going to be going for it in this situation. It's on you guys to change my mind right here."
Yeah. Maybe. Absolutely.
Interesting.
Ben Johnson did say in one of the pregame shows, I forgot what it was, with like Jeff Joniak, where he's like, none of the plays I call, they all mean something. I'm not firing any empty bullets. Like, he's like, even if it might look like it's just a throwaway play, we're either seeing what the defense is going to do, seeing what a guy on our team is going to do, or seeing how a specific player on the other team is going to react to it. He's like, everything has a purpose and a plan. So maybe to Ron's point, it's just, there's a lot of gamesmanship that he was playing with internally with his own staff on that one.
And Samir, could that have anything to do with the slow starts? Probably, could they be trying to find out too much early in the game and costing themselves in ways with it?
Or maybe they're not finding out enough fast enough, and so it takes a little bit longer because of all the other variables that Johnson's having to deal with now.
That's an interesting quote from him. I imagine that Ben Johnson really enjoys playing chess, because it seems like everything is a chess match for him, and I love that. But I do think that it is slowing them down early in games right now.
I bet he's sick at chess.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to ask him that. If there's anybody in the press out there, I'm calling for a favor. Please ask Ben Johnson if he likes chess, and if he does, how good is he at it? Because I bet you he'll sit there and be like, I won competitions when I was in like 6th grade. Like that's the type of quote I could see him saying, of like, oh yeah, he'll get on the chessboard with any of us and smoke us, and probably just dangle his food a little bit too. Because I bet that's partially some of what it is too. It's almost a cat and mouse game. He's like, come on, take it. Oh, you didn't take it? Okay, I'm doing this the next time that I see this look from you again. Like, I think he just likes to bait people in too.
Dare I say, maybe Ben Johnson's just bored with the regular season. Stakes are too low.
Maybe, dude.
I don't know if he's
Maybe.
earned that quite yet.
No, he has not. He's lost 2 in a row.
Sicko stuff. You know what's kind of crazy though? Think about this for a quick second. The Bears lost their first 2 games of the season and lost their last 2 games of the season. So you take out the 2 bookend weeks on either side of the season, and in 16 games, the Bears went what? Or 13 games, they went 11-2. That's crazy. That just showed how good of ball they were playing when it mattered most. When people started to kind of write them off, they'll be cute toward the end of the season, but they're not going to make the playoffs. And they're like, fuck you guys, we're going to go win this division.
That's why the season's so much fun, right? And for you, Seth, if you're listening, this is all gravy right now. This, we're not supposed to be here, and so just enjoy it, and have fun with it.
Have fun with it. Now, we don't have a keys to victory this week, so I didn't throw one together, but we do have just a different thought process here, because as Scott says in the comments, it's always F the Packers. We're on to Packers week, guys. The 3rd Packers week of the season. I believe this has only happened twice in history before, where the Bears and Packers play each other. Last time, obviously, 2010 NFC Championship game. The one before that, I believe, was that might have even been pre-merger. I'm not totally sure on that. I just don't recall what it was. But, gentlemen, how are you feeling about the Packers coming into Soldier Field? And I'll toss it to Samir first here.
We actually put a poll out, Bears on Tap, if you guys haven't checked it out. I just looked at the results. So we put, how do you feel about facing the Packers in the first round? We have love it, bring them on. Anyone but them. And then third option, don't care, bear down. Where do you guys think is that? There's a heavy favorite here.
I'm at love it, bring him on, but I'm scared, but love it, bring him on, because you got to face your fears.
The meatball in me would say don't care, bear down. Truthfully, the meatball in me says that. But if I'm betting on which one is the most, I agree with you.
Yeah, it is. 50% nearly is on love it, bring them on. And then only 20%, 19% on ugh, anyone but them, and 31 on don't care, bear down. So people want to see it. And I'm kind of with them. Look, the Packers first round matchup is going to be the highest of highs or the lowest of lows, right? You either slay the dragon and it's a different regime, don't care, all of that shit in the past doesn't matter anymore. Or, gentlemen, I don't even want to speak it into existence. Something happens just awful. And you are, yes, it was a good season, but why did it have to be that to end? Why did that have to happen? If you have this terrible taste in your mouth for another 10 months, 9 months, whatever, until everything gets going again, and you're just but I am looking forward to it. I cannot wait for Saturday. I think they're going to be amped up. I think the energy, whatever we saw in Detroit, whether it was on purpose or whether it was, hey, we clinched and we're a little flat, I don't think you're going to get any of that. I think you're going to get the energy like you did with DeMarco Jackson jumping on somebody in the opening kickoff and earning a penalty. That's the intensity I'm expecting again for the Packers week. So I'm pumped up. I'm excited that it's them. They're rested up, so it's going to be a good game, and we'll get some horses back hopefully.
Rod, how are you feeling?
Quickly, Scott, Samir, to your point, the cheapest ticket currently on StubHub is $581. The fans are fired up. And I think Samir hit it on the head, right? You're either slaying the dragon or there's that asterisk to this first Ben Johnson season. But I think a lot of Bears fans feel like something is genuinely different. And I also think there's an aspect to it that Ben Johnson sits there and goes, we've seen these guys enough now. We're gonna have to figure it. They'll figure it out. I genuinely believe they will. I think we're in for a slug match regardless. I think both teams are going to come ready to play. They both know how to play in cold weather, right? This isn't the Rams or the 49ers coming to Soldier Field when it's, going to be colder out and potentially really windy, right? No, these two teams know how to play in this environment. And that's, I think, what's going to make it an incredible matchup. I think think there are fears, but the fears are just playoff related, right? Like, I think you go in and you're like, well, our season's over if we lose, right? I don't care who the opponent is. I would feel the same way against the Rams or the same way against the 49ers. It just so happens that it's the Packers and it means a little more. And I get that. I'm excited for it. Genuinely excited for it. And the league is too. They put them in the 7:00 slot on Saturday night. You're one of the first 2 games of the weekend. Yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing. The league was like, this is going to be awesome. And everybody's going to be watching. And Amazon's probably stoked to have this game. It's going to do great numbers for them.
So, my first thought is my wife's going to be not happy about this because I fly out for work Sunday and I'm gone all week. Saturday is the last time I get to spend with her, and I'm going to be spending it watching Bears-Packers. But that doesn't matter because it's playoffs, and this is Bears-Packers. Second thought is, we all know the Bears beat the Packers last week or 2 weeks ago. Great. They slayed the dragon. I'm not as sold. I'm not as sold that a dragon is slayed. I believe that the Bears had the better roster before Parsons went out. I believe the Bears have the clearly better roster since Parsons and some of those other injuries have hit the Packers. And it didn't fucking matter. Because for the Green Bay Packers, over the last decade, everything is a little easier against the Bears. And for the Chicago Bears, everything is a little easier against the Green Bay Packers. Or everything's a little tougher against the Green Bay Packers. And that is where my fear roots from. I wish I could say it was as simple as playoffs, like you were saying, Ron. It's not, because if the Bears don't win this game, the Bears should win this game. On paper, everything says the Bears are the better team here. And it just hasn't mattered historically for the Bears, whether the better team on paper or not. And I believe that this will go away. This mental advantage that the Green Bay Packers have over the Chicago Bears, the walking on eggshells that Hallis Hall becomes in Packers week, it will go away eventually. But for it to start to go away, it's going to take more than an overtime victory that took an extremely insane comeback for it to really start. If they can beat the Packers by a full 7 points plus in the playoffs, I think that's how you start it. And it needs to start this year. It needs to start now. And I'm expecting it to happen that way. But it scares the living crap out of me. I'm not going to lie.
Hell yeah.
I'm trying to find this line, and I don't know. I saw it. I saw it at first. Green Bay was favored. Now I'm seeing that the Bears are favored. Did you guys have
it switched. It went from like Green Bay -1.5 to Bears -1.5.
Got it. Sorry, Ron. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Q, to your point a little bit earlier, Ken did some research here. Last time the Bears played the Packers was before 2010 was 1941, a Western Division victory for the Bears at Wrigley Field, 33-14, the first non-championship playoff game in NFL history.
That's the one. So
wow.
I remember 2010 was a whole big thing that had never really happened in modern NFL history.
You're right. Crazy.
Yeah.
So here's a big thing for you guys at this opening press conference. Ben Johnson did say he likes to beat Matt LaFleur twice a year. So he's 1-1. He's got a chance to make good on that going into the playoff game. There you go, Scott. There you go. Echoing my thoughts there. This is his chance.
Maybe Ben knew what he was saying.
Maybe Ben just knew. Ben just knew.
Boys, and it's all a chess match. Ben has been setting this up from day one.
Sick in chess.
Start of the season.
Sick.
Do you guys think the Bears genuinely have any slight advantage being at Soldier Field? Besides
Packers?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think that there's real advantage of just from the pure football standpoint of like you're messing with their comms when they're on the field, like with the noise factor, the home field noise factor, the
heaters,
your locker rooms, your home, like you're with your training staff, you're with your family the last 2 days, like in your home. I think that stuff does all add up and make a difference.
Okay.
I mean, last game, the Packers sideline heaters broke and the Bears were just fine. I don't know if some gamesmanship there or not, but yeah, I agree.
Don't tell me that, Samir, because that might not happen again.
It's true. It's true.
No, that's fair.
It was
I wanted to make sure that like Bears fans still believe in the Soldier Field crowd. Because I feel like there's it's been a long time since fans have really gotten to hear that again. And I think some of the faith was lost for a little bit, but I think it's back. They woke the hell up tonight.
Yeah.
When that first drive started to get put together and the couple first downs, and then they're like, okay, here we go. And
Yeah.
you could tell they rode that momentum. So I hope, man, And Ben is a knower.
All right, gentlemen. Why don't we give out a good old fashioned bear down and we will get out of here. Talk to everyone in a few days.
Bear down, baby.
Bear down, guys.
Bear down.